start?
We are recording.
All right, then I will call the meeting of the Conservation Commission for Tuesday, April 6th open. We do not have minutes from the last meeting, so we are going to table that till the next one. We do have a public hearing to open in the Harshton Street 50.
I think you cut out, Tim.
Oh, okay. Do we have a presenter for the 58 Hartshorn Street?
Yep, Dave
Yes.
Clinner.
Dave Clinner from Collins Engineering.
All right, I'll just quickly read it into the record. Under the Wetland Protection Act, Chapter 131, Section 40 of Mass General Law is amended, and the West Bridgewater Wetland Protection Bylaw Rules and Regulations. The Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing through remote participation, April 6th, for a septic upgrade at 58 Hartshorn Street, and we are open.
All right, I'm going to share the screen.
Excuse me? This is
Yep.
Joan Shea and Mike Shea. We're actually on, but we're not able to visualize the Zoom because we're in a waiting room.
Says the host will let us in soon.
Can everybody see the screen?
I can.
John will
Yep.
hopefully let you in.
Okay.
There we go. Something's
Just
moving.
did. Just did.
Okay, there we go. Thank you.
Joan, do you have a phone as well, or just the computer microphone?
I have the phone only because my computer won't allow me to speak.
Okay, I'm gonna try to mute your computer. So hold on.
That was.
Mhm. 58 Hartshorn Street.
Win.
Mhm.
All right, let's see if that works.
Okay. Nope.
So you have to turn off, you have to mute your Zoom. If you click on the screen, the bottom left-hand corner, there's a mute button, and you also have to turn the volume off on your computer. So make sure the volume's off. You got to do both so you don't get the echo.
Okay, I just shut off the phone.
Can you hear us?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, David, if you want to start, I think we're,
All right. So everybody can see the screen now with the plan up on it?
Yep.
All right.
Yes.
Yep.
So this is a septic repair with a 26 by 23 addition. This just got approved by the Board of Health. They're gonna discontinue a bedroom in the building, in the existing house, and they're gonna add a bedroom, I guess, to here. We had a Board of Health meeting on Tuesday and it was approved. We're going for a NOI. We have the property line is outlined in yellow. The West Meadow Brook runs along the west side of the property, and the property line goes to the center of the brook. You can see it here. The green dotted line are the wetland flags delineated by Brook Monroe. You can see them here to the south west corner of the property and to the south of the property, two separate wetland lines. We have the 50-foot buffer in orange shown here. And we have the 100-foot buffer shown in red. And that goes along the 100-foot riparian zone off the lot. So the red goes into the riparian zone, then it's both red, the riparian, the riverfront area and the 100-foot buffer. So the addition will be between the 50 and the 100. The existing septic system is right here. And it is a gravity-fed system, failed for water table reasons. The existing tank is here. We're going to abandon that tank. And we're going to be putting in a pump, or a tank and a pump outside the 50-foot buffer. So we're basically taking the components that are inside the 50-foot and moving them out. The leaching field will be completely outside the 50-foot buffer. It will be slightly in the 100-foot riverfront area. This lot was created before the Rivers Act, so that should be noted on. It's got some grandfather clausing to it. We're gonna propose a buffer zone or a silt fence. It starts here next to Hartshorn Street, and it's the dotted line. Goes down to the shed, picks up on the other side of the shed, goes down around the system, and it's just shown here. There's an existing stone wall here. It's going to come up along the stone wall and over towards the house. This area here is mostly grassed. There's some pines and that will need to be taken down in here where the septic system is proposed. And we're not in ACEC, we're not in a natural heritage or estimated wildlife habitat. This is, there is a flood zone on the property. The flood zone is elevation 69, I believe. Yeah, 69. It's shown here in this dark line. And this is a AE flood elevation from FEMA. And we are staying completely out. There will be a little work in here, but no fill is allowed in the work zone around the flood area, which is just this little bit right here. The system itself is going to be slightly mounded. We have a 70 here. The top of the system will be at 72. We got our variances to lower it as low as we could so that it would be the least impact to both the woods, wetlands, and neighbors. I think that's about it. We showed a alternative analysis for working inside the riverfront area. And it just basically says that the house was built, the property was subdivided in 1962, which really predates the Rivers Act by quite a bit. And the addition will be on the opposite side of the house from the river, out, you know, just, but it will be inside the 100, but outside the opposite side, outside the 50. I guess I'll open it up for questions from the board.
Okay, John, you want to give your report?
I've reviewed it all and I have no issue with the project. I think they've done a good job at trying to minimize the impact on the buffer zones, and so I would recommend approval.
I don't have any questions.
No questions.
John, are we requiring markers on this? I didn't notice them on the plan.
I have a detail for markers here, John, but I looked for them on this plan and I had a hard time finding any.
Okay, that was my only comment that I noticed.
So we can put that in the order of conditions, or we could have David make the change before I give him the order of conditions.
Yeah, I could do that.
Is there anything in that wetland area now? I mean, or is it just wetlands?
It's mostly wetlands. It's a pine grove type of area, lots of pine trees down to wetlands.
Yeah.
Light
Nothing's
underbrush.
been done over the years in there.
No.
Okay. Is the owner know why we're putting in those markers?
The owner has a set of plans, and if he doesn't, he will. I mean, I think it was just an oversight on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
part that we didn't add them, but we have them, so
right. But they know what it means.
they will if they
Okay.
don't.
All right.
All right, anybody else have comments? Anybody in the audience listening tonight? All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close.
Second,
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. I'll entertain a motion to issue a approval with the standard order of conditions for the upgrade of the septic system in addition.
I'll make the motion.
Seconded by Steve. All those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're
Next
welcome.
on our agenda, we have 1 Tiffany Circle.
And that would
Do we
be
have
me
somebody?
as well.
Okay. Well, you're pulling that up. I will read into the record. Under the Wetland Protection Act, Chapter 131, Section 40 of Mass General Law is amended, and the West Bridgewater Wetland Protection Bylaw Rules and Regulations, the Conservation Commission will hold a hearing on April 1 Tiffany Circle.
Can everybody hear me all right?
Yep.
All right. I'm going to share the screen.
Okay.
And if everybody can let me know that the plan is up and you can see it.
I can.
Okay,
Okay, good. So this is 1 Tiffany Circle. This is a NOI
Yep.
to replace the septic and to replace the driveway, which is in ill repair, and to add a bedroom over the garage, which will just be a construction vertically instead of horizontally, no more impervious. The yellow line is the property line. There is a kind of a drainage ditch that comes down the northwest side of the property. It's right here. It's not, I don't have any coloring on it, but it's a drainage ditch that ends in a culvert and goes into, a pipe. And then it goes into a ditch, which goes into a stream, which I believe feeds Willow Brook further downstream. And so there you have this intermittent, or I think he called it an intermittent. You have this flow of stream coming through here. We did have the wetland flags by Brookman Monroe in green. Again, it follows along the northwest side of the property, goes to the western side of the property and off. This is the wood line here. So everything is going to be done in a previously disturbed grassed area. The 50-foot is the orange. The 100-foot is the red. Once again, we have a 100-foot riverfront area in blue, and it hooks up with the 100-foot 100-foot buffer zone in red, and follows it off to the east or south east side of the property. The septic system is going to be located here, as far away from everything in the corner as we can get it. It is outside the 100. It is outside the 100 for both the riverfront and the riparian. We are going to add a septic tank, which will just be inside the riverfront area, but it will be outside the 50 and the 100. inside the 100, but in between. This will be a gravity-fed system. The silt fence is going to start at the driveway. It's going to go around the limit of work, all the way down around the limit of work. We're carrying it all the way across the back along an existing fence line, and we're bringing it back up to the street. This will allow us to, part of the NOI is to put in this gas tank here, which is outside the 100. We're going to have to run the gas line, proposed gas line inside the 100, inside the 50 foot, I'm sorry, just a little bit to get it into the house to feed it with the rest of the plumbing. So between, so this project includes, once again, the tank, the addition to a bedroom above the garage, and the resurfacing and repaving the driveway and installing the septic system. So we do have markers here. I see those. I looked at those today. We have the conservation markers shown in black dots. They run along the edge of the lawn, pretty much all the way up to the sideline here. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 of them. And this one is this property here is not located within a wildlife habitat. It's not located within any kind of vernal pool or critical area.
All right. John, do you want to give your report?
Yeah, on this one, I have reviewed it, and as did the other one where I missed the conservation markers, I saw the details, so I just assumed they were there. So good catch, Tim, on that one. But on this one, he's got everything in, and I would recommend approval.
Okay, any other comments from commissioners or?
I have none.
None.
Okay, anybody in the audience listening in or anything? Questions, comments? All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion to close the hearing for 1 Tiffany Circle.
Motion to close.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. And I will entertain a motion to issue a order of conditions and approval for 1 Tiffany Circle, replacement of the septic system, driveway, and installation of an underground propane tank.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
And second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Twing.
And I believe they do not have the DEP file number yet, John?
That's correct. 279 Plymouth. Plymouth. Woo, Pleasant Street.
So we'll open it and then just continue it to the next meeting. So under the Wetland Protection Act, Chapter 131, Section 40 of Mass General Law is amended, and the West Bridgewater Wetland Protection Bylaw Rules and Regulations, the Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing through remote participation on April 6th, 2021 for a notice of intent relative to a septic upgrade at 279 Pleasant Street. And we're open for that. And at this point, I will entertain a motion to continue to our next meeting.
Motion to continue this hearing to the next meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
So, which I will call open. And I see we have all the DEP numbers and everything.
David,
Yes,
are you presenting the plan for 168?
168 South Main Street, yes. I'm
Yep.
sorry.
That's all right.
I'm
We're
going
moving
to,
along quicker than you probably thought.
I was a step behind. I'm going to share the screen then. And if you can let me know when you see the plan.
It's there.
Okay.
Got it.
We got it.
All right, so there's a lot going on in a little area here, but and I'm gonna try to hit all the points that I was talking with John about the past week or so. This is the 40 by 40 garage that the client would like to put up. And of course, we had the wetland line running here in this green line, just behind it. And I think what was proposed first was a wetland meadow mix on both sides and a couple of blueberry bushes. And since then, of course, the roof will be infiltrated in the stone trench behind here. But since then, I've been discussing with John some of the things that might be done here. And so we came up with a black mulch on both sides inside the 100-foot buffer, and it's much more. There's more detailed planting. We have 2 blueberry bushes and what do we got here? And 2 winterberry, 2 winterberry and 2 blueberry planted on the north side, and 1 blueberry and 2 winterberry planted on the south side inside the 50-foot buffer. We have many more blueberries and winterberries planted along this kind of natural high area here, or a mound. So what John suggested is that we scarify it, and then we put down the meadow mix, and we plant these winterberries. I think there's 2 winterberries here, and I added another 3 or 4, or maybe 2 or 3 blueberry bushes, and we did another type of let's see, with 2 winterberries. Oh, sweet pepper
Sweet pepper
bushes.
bush. Yep.
Yeah, we did a few sweet pepper bushes in there as well. So the mitigation got beefed up quite a bit. I did not want to plant anything in this area because we have an existing leaching system here. I did not want the wetlands to encroach on this area. It would put that leaching system inside the 50. So I kind of left this area alone, only for that reason. There is a leaching system right here for the neighbors. But we did beef up the plantings all along the backside here and inside along the garage. There are these little circles here will be the conservation markers, and they go, I mean, this one's gonna be right behind the garage, but at least they'll see it when they go back there. If they have to maintain anything, pick up some litter from the stone trench, just to keep it clean. And then we have the markers come around the corner and up.
Okay, John, any comments?
I
Looks
like it.
good.
I like it. And recommend approval.
Anybody else? Comments, questions?
What was the overriding? I might have missed an earlier meeting, but is there an overriding reason why we allowed it to go inside the 50 to begin with?
So it's on an existing processed gravel parking area.
So it's previously disturbed
Yes.
area? Okay.
Yep.
All right.
And
Okay.
then they are offering some mitigation that will enhance that area. So I figured the mitigation warranted the waiver.
Okay.
So we will have to have a vote on the waiver as well.
Gas station. Next to the accountant.
Okay,
They
hearing
come.
none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close?
second,
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
aye,
So moved. I'll entertain a motion to allow work within the 50-foot.
Motion to allow work within the 50.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. So moved. And I'll entertain a motion to issue an order of conditions for the construction of a detached garage and stormwater management at 168 South Main Street.
I'll make the motion.
second,
Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you, David.
Okay, thank you.
And John, we have some administrative items. Do we have any updates on the Manley Street United Drive?
Yes, David, are you going to present your plan?
Yeah, sure.
David, it's David night.
I'm, I don't have to go very far. All right, so I'm gonna share the screen. And with me tonight is Ron Snell. So he can answer any questions that you might have about the property itself. What Ron and I did was we went out and we met on site and we hung flags where Ron would like to see, and where it already is disturbed too, and where Ron would like to see that maintained as a disturbed area, you might say. These flags are out there in pink, and they're numbered the same number that I have on the plans. There's 1 through 19. And so the wetland flags, if you go out there, the wetland flags are pretty much gone, but we can reestablish them. We have them located by survey. And this was on the approved wetland line. I might add that today FEMA just made a decision, and I'll get that over to John so he has it for his files. And they took this plot of land outside of elevation 71, outside the flood zone. So it's removed from the AE flood zone. We did a LOMA letter of map amendment, and they approved it just today in an email. So that has been done, and I guess the discussion will be, how favorable is this purple line to the commission? And this is the wetland line here, the dotted green one, and the yellow is the property line itself. So, and this is all disturbed or grass. There's grass up here, and this is all disturbed to the top of the bank. And from these wetland flags here, mostly down in this area, it drops about 3 or 4 feet into the wetland area. Over here, we move further away, probably 15 or so feet from the wetland area over here in this area. So I'll leave it up to maybe the board and have any in the discussion, and any questions that you might have for me or Ron Snell.
Okay, John, any comments?
Yes, I do have some comments. I've walked the line today, and I can say that all of the hold on for a second. David, can you zero in on number 17, 18, and 19? All right, so if you could move the view to the right or closer to Manley Street. All right. We have a wetland flag that's, I must have a different plan than you have, David. Have you revised that plan? Because I think it's number 10 or 11 was in the wetlands.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, John. We when I first I should back this up a little bit. I went out there once with Ron, and I had this superimposed on on this plan, and there were flags in the wetland. And Ron and I moved those flags outside the wetland areas. And this is the revised flags that we had moved because we knew that we had gone into the wetlands with some of these flags. So for instance, 11 was in the wetlands. We moved it out. And then here we just straight, if you go out there now, they're all in a very straight line from 14 to 19. And we adjusted that line to be a straight line. And that's the way the flags are shown now, both on the plan and in the field. And this was done, I guess, a week and a half ago?
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
About a week and a half ago.
All right, so thank you for that clarification because the plan I had showed number 11 in the wetlands, and I was going to ask to have it moved about, if I remember correctly, something like 6 or 7 feet. And so now that's fine. So I walked the line all the way up to number 16, and the trailers and the current use is right where those flags are. I spoke with Mr. Snell, and he would like to, if this is agreeable to the commission, that he be allowed to use what he's been using. He will mark each flag with a rebar driven into the ground so that it's a permanent marker rather than just a pink flag hanging on the branches of a tree or around a tree. And that way there will be no question that what was once used cannot be expanded any farther into the wetlands. And it's quite obvious where the wetlands are, by the way. It gets really, really wet. And that's because it does drop off from where Mr. Snell has currently been parking the end of his trailers. And so it was quite easy to walk it, not necessarily easy to get to each flag, but it's easy to see how he marked it right at the backs of most of the trailers. I got pictures of almost every flag with the various storage trailers, rear proportion of the trailer right near the flag. So it worked out pretty easy to figure out where it was going next. I would like to say that 17, 18, and 19 should be moved up to the 50-foot setback from the green line because it really doesn't look as if it's being used. If you could, David, if you could mark use your cursor from 16 up to the utility pole.
Okay, right here.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait a minute. I want to talk about that.
So if you follow his cursor, that's basically the bottom of the slope of the material that he's got out there. So the space that would be to the left of that cursor going up and down is not really being currently utilized by Mr. Snell. So rather than moving the line to where that cursor is going up and down, I would recommend going from number 16 to a point that's off of 17 and 50 feet northeasterly of the wetland line, and the same with 18, and then stop it right at the property line and not carry it over into the next parcel. Now, that would still allow Mr. Snell to use that cart path and a additional path that runs from the utility pole area to, if you can move the plan up a little bit, David, there's a arrow with a benchmark, I think.
Yeah, okay, right here. Yep.
Yeah, so that area between the benchmark and the utility pole is a current cart path, and it would have no effect on that because it could continue to be used as such. So that cart path that he's running the cursor along, and the one that would go from the utility pole area to the benchmark and other utility poles, could still be utilized. They're currently used now, and people access through there, so that wouldn't be stopped at all. That could be continued to be used. So that's my comments at this point. And what we can discuss this change that I'm talking about a little bit more, but if ultimately the commission likes whatever the final line is going to be, if you can stop sharing, David, I'll share another plan that I have.
Stop sharing. Okay.
So this green line that you see on the screen now is that wetland line. And again, we still need to talk about that. Is it magenta color or whatever the color that line that you made, David, is it magenta? Or
Yeah.
is it
Looks like a, yeah.
a red or a pink line? He wants to then convey to the commission this piece of land that you see here marked in red. And again, we have to finalize where that limit's going to be on the existing parcel, but I think it's a great opportunity for the town, and I think it's worth considering granting him use up to that line that we're going to finalize, and in return, he's going to give this land to the Conservation Commission for recreational purposes. So I know Mr. Snell had a concern over that last part that I was talking about adjusting. So I'll open it up on that point.
Can I share the screen just for a second here and
Sure,
just
I'll
go
stop.
over some of what, I think everybody can see the screen now. The reason, one of the reasons why we put this line here is because the flood zone that we had taken out of this property runs along 70.5. And actually 71 is where we were, thinking that, okay, we got it out of the flood zone. It's no longer an AE zone. We follow, I think, 70.5 on our flood certificate. It's right here, 70.5. I'll make sure John gets a copy of this. So we were thinking, because we got it out of the flood zone, that this is where Mr. Snell kind of wanted the line. That's the reason for it. And I think he had a few other reasons, but this was actually one of them. That's kind of what determined where the line actually ended up.
So would it be fair to say, run it along the 71 that you have where the 17 is, and then 18, and then up to the property line northerly from 18 instead of out to 19?
Oh, this way?
Yeah, that way it'd be closer to the 70.5. Because you can't fill into the flood zone anyway.
Yeah, we can't. Yeah.
What I'd like to request is I would like to run the line straight along. I can't read that number. What's that number, Dave? That's 18.
18.
18. I want to stop 18 right at the straight property line. In other words, this property line will continue down straight and make a corner right there, Dave. Back up a little bit, right there. That'll be in line with that straight property line and make it easy.
Oh, go
Everything
right to
will be
here.
on the property line.
Go
And
right-
after all, that land is much higher than any of the drop. It drops off after that. So that's the only part that I'm requesting that I haven't been using, and it's minimal square feet. And I don't see that it'll be detriment to the wetlands in any way. And I would like to request at least that. In other words, run the line straight, the property line straight down to that. Let me show you.
Wait to that.
Yeah, I'll go straight down the property line. No, not that one. Here. Make this line straight right down, right down there,
Yep,
okay?
yep.
That corner will be the corner and then straight across to here and down. It'll make it, it'll simplify it, and it'll be right on the line that's existing.
So the line could be like that.
Yeah. That's what I would like to request. That isn't asking for too much. That's the only bit that I'm asking that is into the to the 50-foot, but yet I am still leaving a good distance from if you go from 10 to, I know, 18, I'm sorry, if you go from 18 to the green line, you've still got plenty of land, and it's high at that 18. So I don't see where it'd be detrimental to that. I think it may be pretty clear to be along a property line. After spending years on the planning board, we always tried to run things in a straight line as much as we could and keep things uniform. And yeah, that's what I'd like to see, if we can, the board can see where you're doing that for me.
I have no
My
problem.
only concern is gonna be is that, okay, because it hasn't been used or disturbed before, John, or is it just
Well,
not
it's been disturbed, but
having anything on it now?
he's not currently using it, but it has been disturbed.
Okay, all right.
How much of an area roughly is it? Doesn't look very big. That little corner.
Let's see.
My only concern,
Take that out, yeah. I don't need to go over there.
It's not very big. It's like 40 square feet, 50 square feet.
To the
Right.
right of the line or to the left?
Yeah, just did this triangle here.
So
how about if you flip, so if you flipped it, I'm just saying from elevation, say 72. From 71 to 72, that area in there.
try
I'm
that.
just concerned with allowing filling within the 50-foot for an area that hadn't been disturbed, but if it has been previously disturbed, then if they were to potentially do work within it.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, to fill that corner.
Right, I mean, if they were trying to level it off to utilize it, I mean, that's a three to fill going in right up basically to the wetland line.
David, how many square feet would that shape be?
Let me just get, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna figure it out exactly. I just have to get out of this for a second. If you'll just bear with me. It
Yep,
took me
that's okay.
2
I mean,
seconds.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm just looking for a ballpark number. I mean, it doesn't have to be.
yeah, I got you. Yeah. So you're looking for a square foot area
Along the 72 contour.
along the 72 contour, starting at 16 here.
Yep.
Something like that.
Yep.
That is 4,805 square feet.
Yeah, bigger than I thought.
This
So
area here, I got this area wrong because I was in the wrong, but this area here, I mean, we just gave, let me see, boom, boom. That area there is 1,400 square feet inside here. So,
So we're swapping 50-50 actually.
So what I was concerned about when I was out there was that it seemed that the current use is back along the let's say the 73 contour, and but I did observe the fact that that area that we're talking about had been disturbed in the past through construction activities. So it's not as if it hadn't been disturbed in the past, it has been.
Okay.
Well, let's assume you fill that. How would that affect runoff into the wetlands?
Well, if they propose anything, Mo, we're gonna ask that they grade it such that it's not gonna impact the wetlands. So it
Okay,
would be
gotcha.
graded away from it.
Or any storage vehicles? I think we got that question answered. They're just storage vehicles. Trailers that will be back in there.
Actually, the last meeting, I don't think that you were in attendance. They talked about
No,
a different use of it than storage trailers. Somebody else is looking at it for a contractor's, possibly a contractor's yard of some sort.
but they would have to come forward and,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
all right, yeah, all right.
no matter what happens, if he wants to do something here, we have to go in front of the Conservation Commission.
I'd like to get it all cleared right now from the start.
Well, if we put up a building, we have to go in front.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
that's right. That's understandable. Yeah.
Yeah.
no.
All right.
But as far as just the
No.
use, I don't believe they plan to put a building up right away. They are gonna clean the lot up and make it look a lot more respectable, which I'm doing now. Slow process, but it's gonna be a good move for the whole subdivision of Manley Street, of United Drive, I should say.
Mhm.
Okay, I don't have problems with changing the line like that. Anybody
No,
else?
no, I don't either. No.
No, no problem whatsoever.
So what I would say at this point is we could finalize a plan with these comments that were made tonight, and then work up some type of an agreement that for the mitigation that Mr. Snell is offering, we would officially adopt that magenta colored line as the limit of future development on this lot.
Yeah. Sounds
I can
good.
go with that.
So we really don't need a vote tonight, other than maybe a consensus to enter into discussions on drawing up an agreement.
I
So-
have no objection.
I have no objections.
And no problem.
So there you have it, Mr. Snell. Thank you. And thank you, David. I think we can drop some proposed wording and see if everybody likes it. And we can go from there.
And we'll submit a new plan with that corner
Yep.
put in.
Yep.
And then hopefully we can bring it to a vote and then proceed with land transaction and put the whole deal together. I believe we'll obviously have to work with the town lawyer to get the deeds drawn up, and but that's after the full board approval, and
Yeah.
I think everything will proceed. And I just was down at the boat ramp on River Street, where the conservation of the town was able to acquire that piece of land across from Anderson's farm.
Yeah.
And I noticed that floating dock for loading the kayak, and could do the similar thing in the river at and on United Drive. I mean on Manley Street. Is it the town that put the floating dock in? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that was actually an Eagle Scout project.
Oh, no kidding.
It was what?
An Eagle Scout project.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So if we have another Eagle Scout looking for a project, that
Yeah, okay.
that
Well,
could be another one.
It's pretty necessary to
Yep.
board a kayak at that area. You can't walk through 6 feet distance of 2 feet of mud to get in your kayak very well. So
Right,
it was
right.
pretty unusable. One thing about the river at Manley Street is that it's a straight bank, but even then, you need the safety of some kind of a parallel, be more of a parallel dock there, because the river obviously is narrow right there, but it would work perfect.
Yeah.
It even has a rig that holds the kayak. I don't know if you've seen that, the board's seen that rig.
Yeah.
No, I haven't. No.
You and I could get into it without tipping over, okay? So it holds the kayak until you're in position, and then you shove off, and away you go. So,
Yeah.
but
Getting
anyway,
out's the
that's what
problem.
I'm looking forward to doing, setting something up like that in time. So, yeah, there's more Eagle Scouts coming along. So,
Oh, yeah.
of which my grandson is. So. All right, thank you. I have no more. Yeah.
I think that's it. Are we,
All right. Thanks
All
very
set here?
much.
okay, thanks so much.
So we
Have a
could
good night.
possibly get this on for next meeting, possibly, and get the paperwork done.
So I would think that by the next meeting, I could draw up some language that would be an agreement. And then the commission could vote. And of course, you'd be looking at it, Ron, beforehand to make sure that that's what you agree to. And then they could vote, and then we could then have everybody sign it.
Okay.
So yeah, I think we could have it on, it's going to be a busy meeting. We've already got 5 public hearings, but and that one continued tonight, so it's going to be 6 public hearings. And
Okay.
but we can do it.
Yeah. Now I want to mention too that the rebars that John and I discussed, what I've done in other property markets on my other properties in town is I try to put at least a 3-foot rebar, and I leave it up a distance where it can be seen. And in this case, maybe I can use a 3 or 4 foot rebar, get it anchored in the ground. And I'm talking a heavy rebar, which is 3/4 at least, up that size, with a high hat on it. And David was telling me that I can get a high, I don't want to use fluorescent orange, but he said you can get a green one or something. So it would be a distinct mark. It would be on the property and not at the line. So if it got bumped, it could be straightened, and it should never be knocked down unless somebody wants to take a chain in the machine and lift it out. It's permanent, okay? It isn't like a plastic tube. So
Yeah,
that's what I'd like
they
to-
disappear.
I'd like to definitely identify that mark as permanently as I can. And by going to that corner that I talked about, we'll put a good bound, I'll put a granite bound there. And that's a distinct area. And I think it should work fine, so. That's my
Great.
recommendation.
All right, sounds good.
All right, anything
Thank you
else?
again.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a good
Thank
night.
Thank you. Have a
Yeah.
good night. John, we have 1 Ames Drive.
Yes, and I notice Will Lucini is in the meeting, and he has provided the commission with a letter from Mr. ASAC, or the ASAC Trust, that says that that they will be entering into a land swap, which would then legally entitle Mr. Lucini to fill into what looks like at this point in time Mr. ASAC's land, which eventually will be Mr. Lucini's land, and then he's going to swap some land elsewhere. So having that document allows the commission to entertain the idea of allowing a minor project change to the project, which would allow the filling for the driveway onto Mr. ASAC's land, and then also to do underground electric for that the utility company wants to put in. So having all of that in order now, I would recommend that the commission issue a minor project change to allow the underground electric and versus the overhead that was originally approved, and a grading for the driveway turnaround, which now is onto Mr. ASAC's land, soon to be Mr. Lucini's land. Sounds complicated, but I think
Yep.
it covers it.
Yeah.
Any questions from commissioners or anybody?
No.
Yeah,
All right, hearing none, then I will, now that everything's, all the ducks are in a row, I'll say, request minor project change for the plan at 1 Ames Drive.
I'll make the motion.
second.
Moving to all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
You're all set, Will?
And now
Thank
you
you
can
very
get,
much, gentlemen.
now you can get
You're
National
welcome.
Grid to actually get your electricity put in.
That's a struggle in its own, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you, guys. I
Alrighty.
appreciate it.
You're
Good luck.
welcome.
Take care.
Thank you. Okay, John, next we have 4 Roberts Way. I believe we have agreements ready.
We do. So does everybody remember the situation with Roberts? Because I can bring up a couple of documents to remind everybody. Why don't I do that? That way we'll,
And I think he mowed into the wetland by mistake.
yes, they did. Let me get that and I'll show you. So here's 4 Roberts Way. This is the buffer that got cleared.
Yeah.
I put together an agreement for the owner of this property to cease and desist clearing this, paying a $100 fine, reporting every year in October in some fashion that will come up with that's agreeable to all of us, the commission and the owner, that they have not disturbed it. So basically it puts the burden on them to give us a report every year that they didn't do anything in that 50-foot buffer. And as suggested, after initially talking about this, it was requested that the conservation markers go in along the 50-foot buffer.
Yep.
And so the owner has agreed to that as well. So if the commission is good with that, I've got a copy of the agreement and I can bring that up if you'd like. But it basically says all of that, and that if the commission's good with it, then the owner can sign it in front of me as a witness, and I think that's all we need, and we can put it in the file and be able to hang our hat on it, and they are agreeable to it.
Sounds good to me, John.
Sounds good to me, John.
Yeah, I'm good to go.
All right, why don't I just for the record, call it up so that everybody can say that I showed what the document is. Not that you're not going to see it ultimately anyway, but let's see, here it is.
And John, as far as a report or documentation, I mean, are you thinking just submitting photographs and a letter or something that shows that they haven't done anything to it?
Yes, basically that's it, is, give us a letter saying, this is our annual report, we haven't done anything with it, and here's a picture. So I'm going to share that document.
So it's going to be up to the owner to make sure he does it instead of us chasing him, right?
Right. Yep. So this first part talks about the fact that they agree that there was a violation. They will cease and desist and allow the 50-foot buffer vegetation to grow back on its own and not mow or trim it. And they'll install conservation posts as shown on an exhibit that I sent, showing where all the markers would go and the detail of what the signs and the posts look like, and then pay a fine of $100. Obviously, the date has to be changed on this to another, let's say the 20th, and then they would sign it, and I would witness their signature. And we would hold on to that in our files. I don't think it has to get recorded. So if everybody's in agreement with it, I think all we need is a vote to have the owner sign it and for me to witness it.
Then I will entertain a motion to issue a John to sign and witness the agreement for 4 Roberts Way.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. It looks like we have another one for 10 Woodrow Lane.
Yes, I don't see anyone on tonight. I invited them, but the reason I invited them because they had indicated that they might want to ask the commission for some relief, and I'll explain that in just a second. So 10 Woodrow Lane is the end of the cul-de-sac where they had 3 trees cut down and the brush, and they're putting an addition on.
Yeah.
And so the commission had asked to do an enforcement on it. So this is the enforcement that I came up with, and it just so happens I could do the same with Roberts Way. So I'm going to show the commission some of the background on this.
This is what prompted us to come up with a planting plan, right?
That's true. Yeah. So here's on the left side of this chain link fence is where the deck and the addition being built on the deck was was occurring. And so they had cut 3 stumps, this one here, and this one here. So there's 3 of them, actually. It's hard to see in this picture, but there's the 3 arrows show where the stumps are. And the conservation markers are the big white posts. And there's one more to the right of the picture. And so I did up an agreement with these owners that said they were going to have to pay $100 fine and not disturb it any longer, and that they had to verify that the conservation posts are in the same place as on the original plan. And because of our discussions on tree planting policy, because they took down 3 large trees, they were going to have to put in 18 trees. And they were agreeable to all of this, but they were going to appear tonight to ask if they could not have to plant 18 of them. So the commission could hold to the 6 to 1 ratio for the 3 that were cut down, or you could come up with something less if that's what you would want. And of course, those trees are only going to be 4-footers when they put them in.
Well, my suggestion would be is I could live with 12, but they have to live for at least 3 years and be established, which means they're going to have to lug water out there and make sure they don't die in a drought or something, and maintain them so that they live for at least 3 years. I mean, normally they.
Our idea of 16 was so that a certain percentage would live, right?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, personally, I don't want to back down off that.
Yep.
At all. I mean, that's, frankly, I would like other people to know that we did this. So that second thoughts may be, people will have second thoughts to know that, there is some teeth to these things, and this is the result. So
DEP, when they want us and them to approve replication areas, there's always language that after 2 years, 75% of the plantings have to be viable. So we could put that in the agreement that they plant 18 trees, and in 2 years, we have to see that 75% of them are still living.
And it's their responsibility to make sure of that, right?
Right. So if 75% lived, 13 and a half of them would be still living.
That's right.
So the 12 isn't too far off, Tim. You were real.
So it's pretty close to.
Yep.
Saying 3 years, 12 of them living, and we got pretty close to where we need to be.
So how about we do say 18?
Yeah.
And then after 2 years,
75%.
12 of them have to still be alive.
Yep.
Did we specify the exact type of tree? We did, didn't we?
It has to be what's native to that area. So it's either pines, red maples, and there's probably some invasives out there, but I would say that pines or maples, and they're fairly fast growing, but never get to the point where it become a danger to them. Like
So they're
other places.
They're 4-foot trees that'll be put in, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have an idea, Tim, on trees?
No, I mean, I'm looking at it. My guess would, like you said, be red maples. I mean, there might be some oaks in there, would be another guess, but at 4 feet, it's not going to be a lot of big digging, and it's not going to be an expensive proposal.
Right. Well, they can't bring equipment in, right?
No.
Okay.
So it'll all be hand digging.
And when would that have to be done if we just continue with this? Soon?
So they still have a window of opportunity this spring to put them in, but it might be better to wait till the fall. Tim, you're the expert on that.
They've got another 2 months. I mean, you've got all of April almost, and May and the beginning of June. By the middle of June, you're getting kind of late, but
Right,
they've got time to get it done.
yeah.
Should we specify the trees? Should they be red maples?
I would, yeah, I'd say red maples would work. You could, if you wanted to, also throw in there some shadblow, serviceberry. I mean, it won't get as tall as the maples, but it may be a good understory tree that won't overwhelm the area and mix well.
And I guess the nursery would decide spacing, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna have to, it's gonna kind of be a staggered
Yeah.
spacing. They're not gonna clump them all together. Obviously, they're gonna have to be able to find a spot to dig a 1 foot wide by 1 foot deep hole to kind of put them
Yeah.
into.
Yeah, yeah.
All
Well,
right.
that sounds
got
like
some
the
ideas.
answer.
I've got some ideas. I'll put it together in the agreement. And what I'll do is I'll send it off to each of you members, and as long as you give me your ideas back individually, it won't be a violation of the open meeting law.
Okay,
So if you all agree with what I come up with independently, then I'll feel comfortable with getting them to sign it.
any idea of what the cost will be to them?
For the 18 trees, it's going to be considerable.
Okay,
But 18 4-foot trees is a lot cheaper than putting in, replacing the 3 at the caliper, the diameter trunks that were there. So
yeah. Okay. Sounds good to me.
All right, I'll stop sharing this.
and do we have any invoices to approve, John?
We do, but before we do that, in the near future, we're probably going to get a filing for an addition to a house that has a similar situation as number 10 Woodrow has. So what is happening, I see on a lot of these lots, are the conservation posts get either ignored or taken out, and then the owners do some things in the 50-foot no touch and sometimes into the wetlands. And then later on, we come along either because the next door neighbor's looking for a permit, and I look left and right as I go into the backyard and I see these situations, or they want a permit because the town is pretty much together on making sure that if somebody needs a permit for a shed or a pool, that we all get contacted, and I go looking and then I see some things. So just want to let you know that another one's going to be coming up, but it's going to be done as a notice of intent because they want to do an addition. And I bring it up because, first of all, we have to be consistent with the punishment, but also it appears that the PVC posts and signs with a sign that says wetland, protected wetland area, do not disturb, is ignored.
Mm.
So apparently that's not good enough. And in both of these cases, not for the Roberts Road one, not Roberts Way one, but on Woodrow and the one that we're gonna have come up in the near future, there were recorded conservation easements. And we saw the 11 Farm Road just a couple of meetings ago with the pool, and the same thing happened. It's a recorded conservation easement. And nobody bothers to call town hall conservation office and say, oh, what does this mean? Or what can I do? Or how do I go about doing what I'd like to do with this restriction on our property? They just go ahead and do it and hope that they don't get caught. And
Right, right.
hoping that some of the action that you're taking now is going to make people second guess and say, we better call first.
Yep, that's,
You know, and
Especially-
again, kind of speaks to the fact that, you know, I start thinking, well, if the posts don't work, we're gonna put in a nice wooden fence or a chain link fence back there, you know.
right.
But-
I mean, it's,
Well, you know, from what I hear around just listening to people, you're right. They don't pay attention. They don't think it's that big a deal. You know, it's my land. You know, if I get caught, I get caught.
And they will be, because
Yeah.
they all want a pool, they all want a shed, they all want something in the
Yeah.
backyard. And so unless they aren't asking for a permit, we're not gonna know, but somebody next door will. And again, I can't put my blinders on and go looking at the
No.
property,
No.
so.
No,
Plus, we have the yearly Google aerial mapping that that comes up every year that I happen to always look at.
when does that come up, John?
It's periodic, but approximately once a year.
Okay.
it's
So
funny
you
because the 2019 one was done in April and the 2021, I think, was done in October. So it was a later year, but they try to do it within a year, sometime almost constantly. So it gives you
I
a nice
told
history.
some of my neighbors that, and they poo-pooed it off, said, I don't believe that. So,
It's there, and you can
We'll
look at the
see.
history on it. So
yeah, no,
Yeah,
I know,
You can see the progression,
yep.
Yeah.
especially on some of the new subdivisions. You go back and there's just woods, and then all of a sudden there's construction, and then there's houses. Then there's the big pool in the backyard that nobody knew about.
And what floors me with these are, it's not like there's not a conservation marker there. And it's not like there's not an easement recorded somewhere. I mean, you'd think that if you're a tree company or a landscaper or a builder or somebody walking out there and you saw these markers, it'd be a red flag that, wait a minute, I've got to ask more questions, either of the
At least-
homeowners or,
at least ask.
yeah. It's not like they just pulled them out and they disappeared. Some of them are still there and they even still go and do it.
I know. Well, we'll deal with it as we have to, and as you know, we've been saying all along, perhaps word will get around that you've got to ask.
Yep.
So the last thing on the agenda is the invoice for WB Mason, and I'm calling it up right now so that you can see what you would be voting for.
I'm sure it's staggering.
It is. So it's $32.55, and I have a itemized invoice here. So it's a trimmer, 12-inch economy style. In other words, it's a paper cutter. It's made out of plastic, so I tried to be as frugal as possible, but it works well. And the one and only one that they had at the town hall was like for an 8.5 by 11.
Okay.
That's as big as you could cut. And so sometimes we have ledger size and also legal size, and I never could really get a good straight cut on it with the one that the town clerk has. So we bought one for our own office, and we'll share it with other people in the town hall. So it actually will be, the cost would be spread around even though we're paying for it. And then also some of my highlighters started to dry up, so I bought a small pack of highlighter pens to be able to mark things up. So $32.55.
A motion to authorize me to sign,
Make the motion.
second,
moved and seconded. All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Done.
And that's it, unless anybody has some things that they've spotted and they want me to go looking at. I will mention that the turtle nesting site down at the model airplane field there off of Scotland Street is all built. And I had some discussion with the developer today about that they want to put up a lockable gate so that prevents anybody from going down in there. And that would preclude any use of it by the model airplane people. And so I asked them to provide me with where that requirement is imposed upon the land that we now own. Even though the MESA people had issued a permit to do the project, I'm not aware of that there was supposed to be a gate. So I need that information so that I can start to have discussions with MEPA people, those MESA, sorry, endangered species, and see what kind of arrangement we can have with allowing still some use of that area with certain conditions instead of just ousting them altogether. And I know that's not what the developer wants to hear, but those people do serve as some form of protection by being down there. They're not destroying things, whereas I can go down there quite often when nobody's there and see tracks where dirt bikes and four-wheelers have been tearing up through there. And luckily the turtle nesting habitat area has a post and rail fence around it, but that isn't going to stop somebody who wants to be destructive and dig up a mound of gravel and sand that's been put down to nest the turtles.
Yeah,
right.
The turtles to nest in. So I'm just letting you know that that's probably going to come up somewhere along the line, and I'll keep you all posted before anything's gone too far, so that you're aware of what's going on and you can have your input as well.
Okay.
okay. All right, I don't have anything else for John.
Big agenda next time.
What's that?
Big agenda 2 weeks from now.
Oh yeah, we got 5 new hearings.
Wow.
And the continuation for 279 Pleasant Street. And I was going to try to, and I still might, advertise for the change in our bylaws so that we can deal with the development polygon, where we talked about a certain amount of land that needs to be around a residential house to be able to adequately handle stormwater. And then also the tree planting policy would try to put it in with the wetlands regulations. So
Okay, good.
we would hold a public hearing for both of them separately, where the regulation would spell that out, and the public would be invited to make comments, and then the commission can vote to either approve or disapprove. And if you approve, then it becomes a new regulation.
Okay. Good idea.
Yep.
All right. So I'll still put it on for the 20th, because some of the things that we're having are just requests for determinations, pretty simple stuff.
All right.
All righty.
All right.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
Take
you.
care, everyone.